Alright guys, we're going to check another team off the list. This time we're going to be doing Light or Holy Element. For this one, we're going to be going with Tyvis to lead the party. Richt is going to be our only breaker, so he's going to be an 88 defense and an 87 spirit break. Honestly, with powerful light units, that's all you really need. You know, I don't have Prompto. Addison Ray, just to hit the boss a little bit. EX1 Noctis is going to be dealing some damage. Unfortunately, at EX1, he doesn't have an Amplify. That's an EX2 skill. So therefore, Deuce is going to swap out for Melissa because she can do a single target 100 Holy Amp on our Noctis. And then Quistis is going to be our field because we don't have Prompto or Aven. But it's fine. We'll get it done. So it's not going to be a huge overkill clear because, again, I'm trying to stick specifically to these element teams. So I'm not mixing in like powerful non-elemental units. Like, for example, Hayo could come to like almost any party and be a huge contribution. But, you know, we're trying to stick exclusively on element. Anyway, turn 1, Tyvis will do Hymn of the Faith to buff up Quistis' modifiers. Quistis will do a Dark Resist buff from Anima. Deuce will do a Stop Resist buff from Lakshmi. Richt on this turn will do his Shifted LB for the 88 defense break to put it up early. Noctis will do Mirage on the party. And Addison Ray can just guard. Okay, so we negated everything here. We're using at least 30% Dark Resist on the party, plus 70 from Anima. Alright, so this turn, we'll go ahead and shift Tyvis, and we're going to do his Shifted LB right away to put up that Great Sword in peril for later. Addison Ray can just guard again. This turn, Noctis is going to triple. We're going to Elytra the party. We're going to Mirage, and we're going to do Ruler's Might. Richt on this turn can do Luminous, Bolting Strike, and Radiant Protection. Deuce is going to do, before we do that, let's have Quistis do her LB to put up the Imperil field. Deuce will do Quad. We will Light Amplify on Noctis. We'll put up her Amplify field. We're going to do Symphony for the mitigation, and then Human Killer buff. And it's only a 160 Human Killer, but it's fine. We're going to be doing a 250 on Richt himself. And again, if you don't have to bring Deuce, you could, for example, if you have an EX2 Noctis, you could just bring Zahn to steal the killer off of Richt and share that around. It'll be a lot better. Because Richt's going to 250 himself. Okay, let's get ready for bursting. So Quistis will just use Flying Colors for the modifier buff. We're going to shift Noctis here. And we're going to do Warp Light to Mirage himself. We're going to do It Ends Now. And if yours is EX2, you would 150 Amplify. If you're not EX2, you're going to fill LB gauge. Addison Ray will 150 Amp and then just Mirage herself, so we take no damage here. Richt can go to the base form where he's evading, and he will do Hope Entrusted, Light Within, and then a Bolting Strike. Tyvis, in the shift form, will do Elemental Light, fill LB gauge, and no one could stand against us. Deuce will SLB. Now, if your Deuce is not EX3, it's only EX2, you can SLB on turn 4 instead. It doesn't matter. But because mine is EX3, we're going to SLB there. We'll have her chain a little bit. So on that turn, there you go. A little bit of damage. Not much at all. Okay, it is time to kill. So our SLB'd Quistis will go off here. So will Addison Ray. Shifted Noctis LB. We're going to shift Richt and do the shifted LB. Tyvis will do his shifted LB. His meteor skill is technically stronger, but because we're using a smaller spirit break, it's not quite as good. And then Deuce, if you're EX2, you'll SLB now. If you're EX3, she can just jump in here with a support chaining, because why not? Now, we're going to be chaining Quistis and Deuce first to build the chain, but again, if Deuce is not EX3, then you would chain Quistis and Richt first, and then just wait a moment, then chain the rest. But we're going to go ahead and send them to build the chain. We're going to wait, then we're going to send the rest of the party. Let that build the modifier to maximum. And then send in the rest. That should be, I didn't calculate the chain count. These are pretty easy chains, all bolting strikes. The whole party is 6 bolting strikers. So 27 times 6 minus 1, whatever that number is. And we're looking for 24.5 or better. It's not going to be a big overkill. 26.8, good enough, good enough. And again, I showed you my big, strong, powerful clear as my first video. That dark team was probably the hardest I'll be hitting the boss. If you're looking for an easy to copy, overpowered, no variance clear, that's my first video. Now I'm trying to stick on element, even if they're not as powerful as these teams could be. Like by mixing in some alternate units, I could get some really strong damage. For example, if we dropped Addison Rae and brought like Roka, who would get Tybus's leader skill because she's an evocation unit, that would be a big damage gain. If we brought Chow, if we brought stuff like that, we could mix in the parties and get a lot stronger than going mono element. But for the fun of showing variety, I'm trying to stick to mono element parties, even if they're not as good as they could be. Like Quistis, I mean, basically just a field and almost nothing else. You see what I'm talking about. But Tybus and Richt surprisingly good. Keep in mind, Richt did have a 250 killer. No one else had that. He can only buff his own killer by 250. He cannot share it, unfortunately. But again, you know, if we had an EX2 Noctis, we would swap out Quistis and bring in Zahn, or swap out Deuce and bring in Zahn, and steal that off of Richt and share it to the whole party. But here's the party and here's the gear. Turn chart will be in the comments. So base form, not really that important, honestly. Shift form, just, you know, LB damage versus humans. And there we go. Addison Rae, shift or only form. Honestly, a little underwhelming. She did not do super great here, but then again, she didn't really have a good killer or anything. But yeah, she did fine. Whatever, I guess. Who cares? Noctis base form, kind of whatever. Limited evasion. Shift form is LB damage versus humans. Only EX1, so therefore we don't have our good killers, but we still maxed them out. And there it is. Quistis, LB damage versus evocation, and she's maxed on everything. I think she is, at least. I think she is. Yep, maxed on everything. All evocation stats. There we go. And she's pretty garbage, but she has a field, and she did do 1.7. Deuce is our provoker. Evasion, provoke, nothing special there. Kind of whatever. And then Richt. Base form, just evasion. Shift form is damage versus humans. And chain speed, etc. Okay, there's the light party. 3 to go. Earth, fire, and wind remaining. See you later.